Okay, moving on to the team that I have finishing in fourth place in the ACC. That would be Chris Mack and his Louisville Cardinals. And I feel like with Louisville, this is going to be a team that either people love or people hate when they look at this roster. I feel like Louisville is a team that going into next season is going to be very boom or bust, and I'll explain why. Last year, going into the season, I was very high and optimistic on this Louisville team. I saw that they had so many guys coming back with experience like Jordan Nwora and Stephen Enoch at center and Ryan McMahon, the shooter, and Dwayne Sutton. And I really liked that combined with Chris Mack and what he was able to do during his first year as the head coach of the Cardinals, getting that team to the NCAA tournament when really, to be honest, not a lot of people expected them to get there. But last year, I think when you look at Louisville on paper, you're like, oh, they would have been like a 3 or 4 seed. They had some really good players. So it was a pretty good season for Louisville. But at the same time, I do feel like if you watch the Cardinals up close last year, they really played okay, but I feel like they didn't play at their best, and they didn't play up to their potential. And I feel like this year, looking at Louisville, I think they have the potential to be really good. I even think they have the potential to be even better than last year's team. However, they need to figure out new roles because the team from last year, they lost a lot. Nwora, McMahon, Sutton, Enoch, and Lamar Kimball. Those were 5 guys that really started the majority of the games last year for the Louisville Cardinals. All of those guys are no longer here, and I feel like with Louisville, it's pretty point blank. If you want to buy stock in Louisville as a top 25-ish team, which I think they are, I think they're going to be ranked from 20th to 25th, or they would be in my top 25. I think the main reason why I'm buying stock in Louisville after they lost so many good players is the 1-2 combination of David Johnson and Samuel Williamson. Both of these guys are going to be entering their sophomore year. Both of these guys were former top 100 recruits, and they showed some potential last year, especially David Johnson. I think last year, Louisville really started playing their better basketball when David Johnson was inserted into the starting lineup as the point guard for Lamar Fresh Kimball, and I think Louisville really was able to take off from there. He averaged 6.3 points per game, 2.8 rebounds per game, 2.8 assists per game, and I think this season with more and more consistent minutes, he'll be able to raise those numbers a little bit. Samuel Williamson, he's a guy that's a combo guard, forward, 6'7". He's going to be playing a lot, and I'm thinking that he's going to be another guy that takes a real step forward for this Louisville team. He averaged only 4.4 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, but he has really good size at 6'7", really good athleticism, and I'm really looking forward to see with his second year in Chris Mack's system if he could be able to take another step forward in his development. Here's the other thing I wanted to talk about with this Louisville team. There's a lot of role players that I feel like should be good, but it's no guarantees that they are good. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that it just has to do with players entering new roles. The first guy is Carlik Jones, the grad transfer from Radford. If you talk to most people in college basketball, they'll tell you that Carlik Jones, the grad transfer from Radford, who's going to be playing at Louisville this season, was one of the best grad transfers on the market, and Louisville really got a good big-time player. He led Radford to the NCAA tournament a couple years ago under Mike Jones, and he's a really good player. I'm just not necessarily sure if he's going to be able to produce and live up to the hype and expectations that everyone expects him to as one of the top members of the Louisville backcourt. Also for Louisville, Malik Williams, their big man. He was the guy that was going to return this season and be their leading returning scorer from last year's squad, but unfortunately he is injured and it is unknown how much time he will miss until he comes back, and I feel like losing him is a big loss for this Louisville team because he was that one guy in the front court that could really rely on his experience playing for Chris Mack. Now Aiden Agahan, the 6'10 sophomore, a former top 100 recruit, and he's pretty good, but the bottom line is he only played in 13 games last year, averaged 1 point per game, 1.3 rebounds per game, and with Malik Williams hurt, I believe that he's going to be a guy that needs to step up and will probably be the Louisville Cardinals starting center. So if I'm Chris Mack and I'm projecting this rotation, I would go with David Johnson as one of my guards with Carlik Jones, along with Sam Williamson in that backcourt, along with Quinn Slazinski, 6'8 sophomore. He was another guy that, due to the depth of this Louisville squad, really wasn't able to get on the floor consistently last year, but I think this year, with some more playing time, he's going to have the chance to become a really good player. And I also think that is another big key with this whole Louisville team, is that a big reason why I think Louisville is going to be pretty solid this year is because I'm buying in stock of a lot of guys that I think just didn't have that big of an opportunity to produce last year. And I think this year they're going to just have a better opportunity to produce with all of the talent that the Louisville Cardinals team was able to lose. I think when you look at it, right, guys like Williamson and Johnson are the two obvious ones that stand out. But at the same time, Quinn Slazinski, even Aiden Nagahan, he didn't expect to be the starting center when the season ended last year. But at the same time, Malik Williams gets hurt, and it's one of those next man up opportunities. And I think for Louisville, that is what they're really going to have to take advantage of. They also have some freshmen in this class that could play a little bit, including Jalen Withers, the 6'8 redshirt freshman. I think with the injury to Malik Williams, he could be another guy that takes advantage of an opportunity to play. DeAndre Davis, the 6'5 freshman as a guard, and JJ Traynor, another 6'8 lengthy freshman that could do some damage as well. And I'm really looking forward to see what exactly this Louisville team could do going forward, because for Chris Mack, it's very simple. I think he's a really good coach, and I feel like Chris Mack and his coaching is another big reason why I'm pretty high on this Louisville team for the upcoming season. And it's because Chris Mack and everything he's done at Xavier was really good. And since he's gotten to be the head coach of Louisville, his first year, he did a really good job. And last year, I think overall he did a solid job. Louisville did have some spots where they came up to be a little bit disappointing. And I feel like if you're Chris Mack with this team, if you could get them anywhere ranked 20 to 25 by season's end, that would be a really good sign going forward. And I do think if this team by March just gels together, improves with their chemistry, I think Louisville, by the time March comes around, their finished product with this team could be really good. They're just going to need Sam Williamson and David Johnson to just break out. And I do think that those two guys at their ceiling could both be really productive for the Louisville Cardinals. And really, if you're a Cardinal fan, once again, those are going to be the two guys you're really going to be buying stock in to improve for this upcoming season, Johnson and Williamson. And then another guy I wanted to mention is Josh Nickelberry. He's a guy, another former top 100 recruit, and I think he's another guy that could make a big impact for this Louisville team as well. And what is the common theme you're noticing with this Louisville team? It's that many guys that I am relying on to be good for them are guys that didn't have that much of an opportunity last year because they had so much returning talent from the previous year. That's one of the big things in college basketball that's super rare, is that you rarely see guys, especially more than one, a group of 4 or 5 guys come back from a really good team, and especially with a team that is bringing in younger talent. And to be honest, that was Louisville last year. That was part of the main reasons why I was so high on Louisville last year. It was because of the fact that they really did bring back a lot of returning experienced talent along with some talented freshmen. And unfortunately, besides David Johnson, really, those freshmen weren't able to showcase themselves and get on the floor. But I do think this year for the Louisville Cardinals, that will change. And I do believe in Chris Mack to get that chemistry going by the time March comes around. So the team that I have predicting to come in fourth in the ACC is Louisville.